G'day. How are we all? You're yet to arrive, as it were, so I shall wait until the Mama Duck group has assembled. Oh, g'day. Hello first. Hi. Dumalakta, you have made it. Well done. You are first. Ah, Sanjay, thank you for saying I'm gorgeous. I do appreciate it. So yes, I'm sitting in my, as you can see, somewhat mucky conservatory, as evidenced by the cobweb above me. Today is Bealtaine. It's May Day in Ireland. It's a Celtic tradition. It's the first official day of the change of the seasons, heading into summer, as it were. It's not quite summer yet, but we've had some gorgeous days out here in Maigh Eo the last couple of days. So I'm going to sit here and have a bit of a yak with you while I have a bit of a schmook. And then I'm going to clean my conservatory since it's a lovely day, and there'll be a nicer place for me to sit. I don't want to look at the dust and the dirt. You can see most of my windows are quite smudged and smeared. The reasons my windows are quite smudged and smeared is, for those long-time fans of the stream, I wonder if I can just pick you up for a second, show you. Oh, that's the wall, but hello. No, he's not going to play. I've got several Great Danes, one of whom is loyally sitting on the other side of the glass for me right now, with his head in the shade as far as he can get. And I have other two standing at the door of the conservatory. And the silly things would be much cooler and be better off for them if they went and lay down in the shade at the back of the yard. But because I'm here, they want to be with me, even if it's dreadfully uncomfortable for them. Such is the unconditional love of dogs, and such is the nature of a Great Dane. They generally won't go more than like 50 yards from you. Mine, anyway. It's like in 8 years of having Great Danes, being a Great Dane owner, I'm afraid I've had several misfortunes, but the worst of all, when a dreadful accident occurred and my gate, I thought I had fixed it. It was on the way out. It was had a rotten paling and had been chewed and stuff like that, and it was coming loose at the hinge because the post was rotting in the Mayo climate, that sort of thing. And I thought I had it wedged and tied firmly enough, but I did not. And two of my Great Danes walked down the road, and I know exactly what happened because I left. I left, and they normally never even attempted to get out the front, but they obviously just went. They obviously realised that I was out the front and now gone, and they wandered out to try and find me. And unfortunately, when they wandered out to try and find me, there was only two. I had 5 at the time. They found the neighbour's puppy, and things did not go well for the puppy. They didn't do. I mean, it wasn't. Didn't go well for the neighbour's puppy, and it didn't go well for the 2 that got out. They had to be destroyed. They were euthanised and put to sleep by a vet who was so angry at the waste that he said he'd probably rather shoot the neighbour. But what can you do? I had to take responsibility. It was my pets, my gate, and it will forever be a source of grief and shame to my heart that I caused my poor neighbours such grief and trauma themselves with their poor puppy. And it was just really just one of those things where, like, what are the chances of everything lining up for that particular thing? I would normally have been there, but I had another Great Dane. One of the other Great Danes was sick, and I was away with her from the vet and then getting her settled in another place where she would be warmer for her to recover at exactly the same time that her mates went for a wander. So yeah, mates went for a wander looking for their mate and for me, and my gate was not well fixed. So it is true what they say, strong fences make good neighbours, and alas, my fence was not strong enough, and now I am the bad neighbour. Now I'm the bad neighbour, and I live unforgiven. And I can't blame any of them, not one bit, because it was a horrendous thing to happen. And my poor silly dogs wouldn't actually hurt a fly. Like they've never bitten anyone or anything. And I can safely hang out with all three at once. I could safely hang out with all five at once. It was just sod's law that, like, they must have just trod on the puppy or something, because there wasn't a mark on the poor puppy, poor little thing. He must have defended his territory. He was only young. He must have just gone up and barked at these big things, and they thought, oh, do you want to play? And just trod on him or something, because they're not savage, but they still had to pay the price. So yeah. So that's that. It's true what they say, there's no bad dogs, just bad dog owners. And I'm now forever branded a bad dog owner. At least the local dog warden said, she said she was kind enough to say that at least I was taking responsibility. I wasn't defying it. I handed over the dogs and understood and took it on the chin, that sort of thing. I say take it on the chin, I shall never recover. It was the first Great Dane that I ever bought. My original Great Dane, Sky, and her daughter, Princess, that I bred to show and never got to show because she was born during the pandemic, and I didn't go around to go back to dog shows after that. So, and I love them so, and I did not spend enough time with them while they were alive. And then when I started to spend more time with them, things went awfully wrong. So once again, the universe teaching me a lesson, as it were. So now I'm in my conservatory with my 3 remaining Great Danes. And here I shall be, in my own purgatory of a conservatory. So the least I can do is, since it's Bealtaine, Mayday, it's known for like bonfires and bringing in flowers and, all the pagan rituals, that sort of thing. So I shall do a bit of spring cleaning and make my conservatory a nicer place for myself and my doggies to hang out. And then I will feel much better about life, possibly. After all, when life hands you lemons, throw the lemons back at life and say, I didn't ask you fucking lemons. That's not an answer at all. I'm kidding. When life hands you lemons. So I've always tried to make the most of a bad situation. And I found myself in a situation where I always wanted to live in Ireland, but didn't expect that it would be basically my only option. when most of my family are in Australia and are quite angry at me for never coming back, but I didn't feel I had much choice in the matter, really. Life happens, doesn't it? And as far as life goes, although I have seen, one would say, an almost ludicrous amount of trauma, I've also done some quite amazing things and had some wonderful experiences and made some wonderful friends. And, you know, I did get this tattoo when I was 27. Of the mass of comedy and tragedy, because life is comedy and tragedy, isn't it? I'm glad I'm able to enjoy the comedy and even make the comedy so that I can help other people have a laugh, because comedy is serious business. It's like, I don't think, in all honesty, that there's much nicer in life than people being happy to see you, laughing in your company because they feel safe enough to laugh, and possibly they are going through something that day that they thought they might not survive, and you never know, they might have spent their last $10 on a ticket to the comedy show thinking this is my last resort. If this doesn't make me cheer up, then I'm going to jump in the fucking river tonight. You never know what other people are going through. So making people laugh, making people smile, it might not be such a bad vocation, really. Every vocation, every occupation is valid in its own way, isn't it? I've felt a lot of guilt and shame for the last, for the last 16 years, basically, because I was a natstick away from getting into the police service at Western Australia, and I didn't, because I didn't pass a beep test, although I was trying my god darndest to get there, because I thought I could just postpone the opportunity. I'd just take time out for a bit and then go back and still achieve my career in doing something that was good for the community, to protect and to serve people of Western Australia. But most importantly, I wanted to be a detective because I wanted to put away child predators. And I took that opportunity not lightly, because I really, really was committed to it and I was so grateful for it. But then I made the decision to get married and have a baby, thinking I could then go back and reapply for the cops, like when the baby was a toddler sort of thing. And what happened was I got lipedema. Like, I already had lipedema, obviously, but my lipedema was triggered so badly. And my financial circumstances changed so much that I ended up not going back to try for that opportunity. I even went to I moved to Tasmania. At the time I moved to Tasmania, I thought, well, perhaps living in the great outdoors of Tasmania, I'll get fitter and harder, and then I can come back into WA and apply. But everything went worse and worse and worse for me in Tasmania. Tasmania was beautiful. I loved Tasmania. I loved my house. My house was not my house was not well renovated. It was freezing, but I loved the potential of what my house could become, and it was starting to be fixed. And I loved where it was in the northeast of Tasmania. And I loved being on the radio. That's where I first was Mama Duck. That was my announcer name on Star FM in Tasmania. I loved being on the radio down there. I loved everything about it. But I had more tragedy in Tasmania, and my lipedema got worse and worse until by the time I left Tasmania after 2 years, I could barely move around. I could basically just get out of bed, waddle to the car, drive to the town where the radio station was, get out of the car and waddle into the radio station, and then waddle back again. Part of the reason I was Mama Duck, I was making fun of the fact that I waddle, right? Because I had lipedema and I was much bigger then. And then I moved back to WA, and things got even worse for me in WA. Just life just spun wildly out of control due to other people's actions, like not having a knock-on effect into mine. Just like I was going to do this, but this has happened, and so I just have to change course, and now I'm in Ireland, and it's hard not to feel that I'm completely rudderless and just moving in ever-diminishing circles around on a rough Atlantic most days, because I lost all my support systems when I left Australia, and the meagre support system I had here fell apart through relationship breakdown and family breakdown, all that sort of thing. So it's basically just me out here on my own, just a random collection of atoms held together by some sort of consciousness who thought in her 20s that she wanted to be an Irish writer, and in her 50s is a writer and a comedian in Ireland. But, there's a Spanish proverb, take what you want, said God, but pay. And I'm paying. Believe me, I'm paying. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful when I get to the other side that St. Peter might go a bit easy on me, because with the life review, when you get to the other side and the higher beings take you in and say, so this is the movie of your life, basically. Here's the things you got right, here's the things you got wrong. This is how you made people feel by your actions. So you're going to have to feel how they felt until you feel that you can move on a bit and have another turn in the next dimension. I'm hoping that an omniscient master of the universe and all the higher beings out there, whatever the higher force out there is, the higher power, I hope they might go a little bit easy on me because they might know they've suffered in this one. Whew. So I hope I cause less suffering, or maybe mitigate some of the suffering that I've caused by making a few people laugh, by making a few people smile. Maybe. There's not much else, is there, really? If we're all living in a simulation, if none of this is real, then why not be a comedian? All right, I'm going to leave you. So I'm going to have a cup of tea, and then I'm going to tidy my conservatory. I hope that I don't get distracted. Thanks for your company. Please like, please share, please subscribe. My algorithm does much better when people share via WhatsApp. That's a very effective way of getting Google's attention that I'm worth a bit of traffic my way. So thanks for commenting, thanks for sharing, thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, and thank you especially to members like Junior Dawkins and the others who've signed up here or on Patreon. You can find me on Instagram, mamaduck9370. It's the same as YouTube. Alrighty, now I've done all the pointless flogging. I'll see you when you got nothing on.